Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Eradicator, and in today's video we will take again a look at the roadmap, because as you guys know, a new window was open on the roadmap, the window for Q1 2023, and some of the features over there actually were not really announced in the last roadmap roundup. But these were more like older features that were either reintroduced or were extended, or that finally got some work being shown because the work was eventually delayed or pushed. So let's have a look and let's see what the devs are planning to be working on in the first quarter of 2023. And who knows, maybe this is going to be giving us a good indication as of what is going to come for Star Citizen for 4.0 or maybe 4.1. So the first one is the actor status Tier 2. You know, guys, the poop update, which eventually went away. It is back. And well, it's basically, you know, we're going to be able to have to take care of our hygiene. It's also when we'll be able to use cybernetics. It's also the update that is going to make us eventually die, because we're going to be losing some of our DNA integrity until eventually, if we die too many times, we will eventually fall into permadeath and will be cloned, or maybe we cannot be cloned anymore and we'll have to get a new character. It's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to see how the devs are going to be pulling this off. Next, we have the Retarder Base. That was eventually talked about in the last roadmap roundup. The Crucible also made an appearance for March 2023. Nothing big, nothing new here, but the Anvil Legionnaire is there as well, and it looks like the work on the Anvil Legionnaire is going to be finishing by the end of the month of February 2023. So perhaps we could be eyeing here at a release for Star Citizen 4.0, which would make sense. 4.0 is when we are going to be having server meshing, and since we're going to have server meshing, we are also going to have the Paro system. The Paro system is the playground for all the parrots and all the people who eventually go there with ill attentions, if you see what I mean. Well, shipboarding is going to be one of the staples of a parrot's life, and that's definitely why the Legionnaire is going to be eventually released, because it's going to be needed for all those players if they want to be effective and seizing ships. The Banu Merchantman will be finished in mid-March as well. Very interesting here. This is not something that people have been talking about, but you know, Irad is here, Irad is watching what's going on here, and who knows if the work will be finished on the Banu Merchantman, but we could be eyeing at a release for 4.0. And you know, we've seen a lot of Banu Merchantman videos and progress. I was hoping the Banu Merchantman will be ready for this year's season con perhaps, or the sale in November, but looks like it's not going to be the case, and work is still going to be happening until mid-March. So probably here again, Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 is going to be the target. Next, that is very interesting, Bounty Hunter V2. How about this, guys? Now, Bounty Hunter V2 is going to enable players to track criminals via a Mobiglass security app linked to distress beacons, comms array, air traffic controls, camera, and NPC informants. This will rely on various new backend tech, including virtual AI, the NPC scheduler, and security service. Again, cannot wait for that, because right now, well, it's kind of a problem. We know you are doing bounty hunting, and the only way we do bounty hunting is by killing our target. It's more like an assassination than anything else. Well, it looks like with 4.0 we are going to get Bounty Hunting V2, and they said that it requires some backend tech, so perhaps server meshing, persistent in streaming entity, persistent entity streaming, sorry. That perhaps could explain why we haven't seen much, because well, it's going to be requiring real-time tracking of players or NPCs alike. And well, maybe they need to be, maybe players are going to be jumping servers, for example. It's also a possibility. Well, turns out that perhaps with server meshing, if you are tracking a player, well, you are going to be meshed from one server to another, to the other server where your prey is located, and perhaps this is going to be you know, some kind of fix, I think, because a lot of people do server hopping when they are being tracked, because they don't want to be killed, they don't want to be losing their status, or they don't want to go to Glacier, right? This could be a possibility. And perhaps with persistent NCT streaming, if players log out, perhaps their bodies will still be there, and when they come back again, they think that they would have escaped a bounty hunter, but no, they will still be in Glacier. That could explain why CIG have not done anything recently to try to prevent this from happening. Frustrating, by the way, for a lot of bounty hunters out there, but I am quite confident that bounty hunting V2 will be fixing quite a those. And with this come new ammunition as well, new types of ammunition, including, for example, distortion ammunition, which is the kind of ammunition that we need so that we shoot at other ships, but we don't destroy those ships. More like ammunition that will be there to disable ships, and this is going to be more immersive and realistic, because, you know, we have those pods in the Cutlass Blue and also the Avenger Warlock, if I'm correct, where we can capture people and put them in those tails and then eventually deliver them to Glacier. I think that's going to be the point. Well, we need to have at our disposal ammo that will be here to disable ships and not destroy them, because if the ships are destroyed, then all preys are killed and we can't get them. Also, we are going to have other ammunitions, including incendiary ammunition. Now that is going to be very interesting, because I can totally imagine these kind of ammunition being used when players are hiding. Well, how about you lit a little fire where players are hiding so that they come out of their hiding place, and then that's where you collect your bounty. I can totally see that happening. We're also going to be having plasma coming up by the end of 2023. Cutting Tier 2 is also coming up. It's an attachment for the Multitool. Now, we don't know if this is going to come at the end of March, or if the work will continue as the window will be expanded to Q2 from 2023 eventually. So that remains to be seen though, but I suppose that since they want to be bringing in the Legionnaire and they want to be allowing people to board ships, who knows, maybe if you are a bounty hunter, you have to maybe board the ship where your bounty is located. I suppose that this could eventually be coming as well at the same time as the other items there. Next, we are going to see more items with work being done by the end of Q1 2023, or at least through Q1 2023. And the next one is Life Support Tier O, which is the implementation of the first iteration of onboard life support systems in ships, which entails a ship component that generates air when turned on, and management of said life support component within the vehicle loadout manager. Now, they did say, however, that the room system is going to be delayed and pushed, so I have a feeling that this will not be coming at the same time, at the end of the first quarter, simply because I believe that we also need the room system for that to be happening. So don't expect to see that though for Starters Alpha 4.0, but who knows, maybe 4.1, right? Maybe it depends on how much work this is still going to be needed. The multi-function display rework, that is also something that we desperately need. That's 107 weeks of work that is scheduled to be finishing by the middle of February 2023. And this includes the rebuild of ship MFDs with the new building blocks UI technology, as well as a complete redesign of these ship MFDs. And there's going to be an effort made to have them more customizable, and especially also more matching ship aesthetics. So for example, you should expect to see different type of MFDs, or different looks of MFDs based on ship manufacturers. Right now they kind of look all the same. It doesn't matter if you are flying Drake or Origin, they kind of all have the same UI, but with this rework you should expect to have different types of interface design, which again is going to bring more diversity and more different feeling based on the ship that you are flying. Next is the Outpost Homestead Independent and Outlaw. Now, very interestingly here, it doesn't seem like work is going to be finishing in Q1, and it probably looks like it's going to continue through Q2. Here it says that it's a small home for AI to live and shelter. They consist of a central hub and a few optional internal and external modules. They provide the basic necessities to support a small group of people for an indefinite amount of time. And this is where I totally imagine that this will also play a role with Bounty Hunter V2, because especially if you're hunting players, NPCs, right? Maybe those NPCs will be hiding in their homes on Pyro or the Sentence system, and you're gonna have to break into those homes. You know, you're gonna have to the cutting tool to open the door, and maybe the incendiary ammunition so that you set the house on fire and then the NPCs come outside. I mean, I'm speculating here. I'm totally this is my imagination working, but I totally get what you're trying to do, and I hope that this is how it's going to be, because it's going to be making bounty hunting so much more exciting than what it is here. I'm loving what I'm seeing. We still have work for persistent streaming and server meshing. Now, most of the work is scheduled to be finishing by the end of December, with, of course, an extensive testing period that we all know of throughout the first quarter of 2023. But there is one team, though, that will have its work continuing throughout January, February, and March, and this is the mission feature team. So perhaps that's because they're going to be working on missions that do require server meshing. For example, the bounty hunting mission, I don't know. But it's interesting to see that there's that one particular team that still is going to be working on server meshing, and the benefits that we'll finally be able to get from the release of this technology. Throughout the first quarter of 2023, we will also have the Pyro space station. The work is scheduled to be finishing by the middle of February, and of course we'll be needing those space stations. If Pyro is going to be released, well, they need to be populating the system eventually with a couple of derelict space stations that will be inhabited by all kinds of gangs and other outlaws, right? But it's not going to be including Rune Station, though. These are just going to be your regular rest stops that have been abandoned for decades. Also, the Pyro system, planet and mission setup will also be finished by the end of February here. This is going to be including the initial foundational work needed to implement the Pyro system into the game. So they'll be basically polishing the different moons and planets and making sure that we are going to have things to do out there in the Pyro system. We also have a salvage for vehicle munching here. That's something that they did talk about in the last roadmap roundup. We have CIG item handling, something that we haven't talked about for quite some time, but that's going to be the ability for players and NPCs to sit on the passenger seat on the ground vehicle and use a weapon to shoot whatever they need to be shooting at. And I think that especially for chases, we don't have any ground vehicle bounty hunting missions right now, but maybe with bounty hunting V2 we will have that. I can imagine, for example, an NPC being escaping their home on an outpost, taking a ground vehicle and trying to escape with a ground vehicle, and maybe you'll have to take your ship or another ground vehicle to be chasing them, and maybe they will have a friend that will shoot you. That's a possible scenario that will be possible with seated item handling. We also have ship CPU. That is also very exciting, guys. Ship CPU, you know what that is? These are basically that's going to be giving the ships the ability to be remotely, for example, the turrets will be remotely operated by the ship CPUs, by the ship's computer, instead of having, for example, a crew member. People have been asking this for quite some time, especially if you have a multi-crew ship but not a crew. Well, instead of having a player, you'll be able to put those ship CPUs, and the turrets will be firing. They should not be as effective as a real player, but they should definitely make multi-crew vehicles more dangerous when flown solo. And that's something that really a lot of players have been waiting for, and it looks like work is going to be finished by the middle of the month of March. We have sliding as well. This feature will introduce a new traversal method for players, allowing them to traverse short distances by sliding along the floor. I suppose that this is only going to be possible in indoor environments, or in environments that will have a smooth, sleek floor, because I don't think that you'll be able to slide on snow or on sand, right? You're not gonna go very far, but it's probably going to be very cool to look at. Speaking of things that are cool, going to be cool to look at, the third-person camera V2, especially for content creators, that's going to be awesome. It's going to add the follow behavior to the third-person camera with increased support for ground vehicles. The camera will also fully disconnect during accidents for more cinematic crashes crashes, and of course I will be using that every single time I have crashes and accidents, so that you can have wonderful visuals in the B-roll footages of the videos of the channel. We have a couple of unannounced features as well that of course we're not going to be talking here. Underground facilities, some work will be finished by the end of January here. They're going to be adding new underground facilities to the game with traversable areas offering gameplay opportunities in corporate industrial environments. Could this mean that we could have, for example, new bunker missions, but they're not really going to be bunkers, right? But maybe new missions on ArcCorp. We have absolutely nothing to do on ArcCorp right now, for example, but how about maybe some kind of gangs that took over a factory or some kind of underground facility on that planet? Please, CIG, give us something to do on ArcCorp, because it's kind of like it feels like this planet has been left out for any kind of content other than maybe some deliveries, and that's about it. But it's kind of a waste, and I think that ArcCorp needs some love, and that could be a great opportunity to be bringing some extra gameplay over there. Well, that's pretty much it. So very interesting here that we have some of the a little ad look here of the work that the devs are going to be doing for the first quarter of 2023, with perhaps also an idea of what will be released, at least extra new features that will be released for the first quarter of 2023, which is scheduled to be Star Citizen Alpha 4.0. Anyway, guys, that's all for this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, guys, what are you looking forward to the most with these items that were mentioned in today's video. If you answer the question and subscribe to the channel, you get a chance to win a Misc Hull A thanks to Dr. Fobin. A big shout out also to all of my Patreons and YouTube John members. I wouldn't be able to do all those videos on a daily basis without you guys. And to thank you, we got weekly exclusive content on the channel, and also you have access to my Discord channel, where we have this time a package, a mule and a cutlass with LTI. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. It's the Eradicator. I will see you guys later.